Society calls them lazy. Science calls them geniuses. Here's why staying home might be the smartest thing you'll ever do. Society told you that successful people are always out there, networking, hustling, grinding at 5 a.m. in some overpriced coffee shop. But what if I told you that some of the most brilliant minds in history barely left their homes? And no, I'm not talking about being lazy. I'm talking about a psychological superpower that 90% of people completely misunderstand. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to admit. The world is designed for extroverts. Open offices, networking events, team-building activities that make you want to fake your own death. But science is finally catching up to what homebodies have known all along. Your brain might literally be wired differently, and that's not a bug, it's a feature. Let me explain. Researchers at Harvard found something fascinating. People who prefer staying home often have higher activity in their prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for deep thinking, planning, and creativity. Meanwhile, the always out there crowd, their brains are literally addicted to external stimulation. They need the noise. You create your own.
This is why homebodies often outperform extroverts in complex problem-solving tasks. While others are chasing dopamine hits from social validation, your brain is quietly building empires in the background. But here's where it gets interesting. There are actually 4 distinct psychological profiles of people who love staying home. And trust me, they're nothing like what you've been told. Profile 1, the wounded warrior. These are people who retreated home because life hit them hard. Toxic jobs, draining relationships, a world that felt like it was constantly taking from them. For these individuals, home isn't laziness. It's a battlefield hospital. They're not hiding, they're healing. And here's the thing society doesn't tell you. Healing in silence is one of the bravest things a human can do. While everyone else is numbing their pain with parties and distractions, these people are actually facing themselves. That takes more courage than any networking event ever will. Research shows that intentional solitude after trauma actually accelerates emotional recovery by 40% compared to forced socialization. These warriors aren't broken. They're rebuilding themselves from the foundation up, and that reconstruction requires silence, not applause. The Japanese call this hikikomori recovery, the art of strategic withdrawal to return stronger.
Some of history's greatest comebacks started with someone closing their door to the world. Profile 2, the true introvert. Now this is where most people get it wrong. Introversion isn't shyness. It's not social anxiety. It's a fundamentally different way your nervous system processes stimulation. Studies show that introverts have higher baseline levels of cortical arousal. In simple terms, your brain is already busy. You don't need external chaos to feel alive. You're already running a full operating system, while extroverts need to plug into the matrix just to boot up. Home for you isn't escape, it's optimization. You're not avoiding life, you're experiencing it at a depth most people will never understand. Fun fact, introverts use more of their brain's long-term memory pathways, which is why they think before they speak, while extroverts process externally. Your silence isn't emptiness. It's your brain running calculations that would crash an extrovert system. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Elon Musk all identify as introverts. Turns out, changing the world doesn't require being the loudest person in the room, just the most focused one.
Let's continue with Profile 3, the creative architect. Einstein worked alone. Newton discovered gravity during quarantine. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter in cafes because she couldn't afford heating. But the magic? That came from solitude. Creative people don't just prefer being home, they require it. Your brain needs uninterrupted space to make connections that busy, distracted minds simply cannot. Every great idea in human history was born in silence. Every single one. The noise came after. The creation? That happened in the quiet. Neuroscience calls this the default mode network. It only activates when you're alone and undistracted, and it's responsible for imagination, innovation, and breakthrough thinking. So while the world is out there consuming content, you're at home creating the content they'll consume tomorrow. Studies from the University of Buffalo found that unsociable people who choose solitude for creative purposes show zero signs of depression or anxiety. Their isolation isn't loneliness, it's the laboratory where genius is manufactured. Now, profile 4, the sensory sovereign. This is the most misunderstood group. These people aren't introverted, they're not traumatized. They simply have a nervous system that processes sensory input more intensely than others. Loud restaurants feel like an assault. Crowded malls trigger genuine exhaustion. It's not weakness, it's heightened sensitivity. And here's the plot twist. This same sensitivity that makes crowds unbearable, it's the same trait that allows them to notice details others miss, feel emotions more deeply, and experience life with an intensity that normal people can only imagine. Psychologist Elaine Aron discovered that 15 to 20% of humans are born as highly sensitive people, and this trait exists in over 100 other species as a survival advantage. Your nervous system isn't malfunctioning. It's operating on a frequency that most people can't even detect. In ancient tribes, these were the people who heard the predator before anyone else, sensed danger in the air, and saved entire communities. Your sensitivity isn't a modern weakness. It's an evolutionary gift that kept humanity alive. Now here's the part nobody talks about. All 4 of these profiles share something dangerous. The line between healthy solitude and destructive isolation is thinner than you think, and it moves. What starts as a peaceful retreat can slowly become a prison you built yourself. The comfort that once healed you becomes the cage that traps you. Here are the warning signs. You stop feeling recharged and start feeling numb. Your me time becomes avoiding everything time. The thought of going outside doesn't just feel unnecessary, it feels impossible. You've stopped growing and started hiding. The brutal truth? Home should be your sanctuary, not your sentence. The goal isn't to become an extrovert.
The goal is to be a healthy version of whatever you naturally are. That means sometimes forcing yourself into discomfort. A walk, sunlight, one conversation with someone who doesn't drain you. Because here's what I've learned after studying this for years. Solitude builds your soul, but connection reminds you why you have one. The most powerful people aren't the ones who are always out there or always at home. They're the ones who've mastered the balance. They know when to retreat and when to engage, when to protect their energy and when to spend it. So which profile are you? The wounded warrior healing in silence? The true introvert optimizing in peace? The creative architect building in solitude? The sensory sovereign protecting your nervous system? Or maybe you're a combination. Most of us are. Drop your type in the comments. I read every single one. And if this made you feel seen, like you finally have words for something you felt your whole life, hit subscribe, because I'm creating more content that actually understands how your brain works, not how society thinks it should. Your home isn't your weakness. It might just be your greatest strength. You just need to learn how to use it.